Hello, today I'm joined by my colleagues Melanie Rutherford, Lina McFarland, and Debbie Alaka to discuss women's health and our experiences with mental and physical health in the workplace. We work with DocHQ, a health tech company striving to improve your health choices. Our vision for healthcare is one that's driven by information, powered by technology, and accessible to everyone. Over the next few weeks, we'll be covering a range of women's health topics such as endometriosis, period pain, fertility, mental health, and a range of other women's health issues. And today we'll just have a quick introduction into who we are and our experiences. So I'll just ask everyone to give a little brief introduction about who they are and where they're based. Mel, why don't we start with you, if you don't mind?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Mel Rutherford. I am the marketing manager here at DocHQ, and I've worked with the company for nearly a year and a half now. I'm based in London. I work fully remotely, and yeah, I'm really excited to be part of this new series of women's health webinars and podcasts.
Hi, I'm Debbie. I'm the marketing associate here at DocHQ, and I'm currently in Lagos, Nigeria.
Thank you. And I'm Sarah, and I'm the marketing executive here. And I'm based in Dublin, and I've been working for the company for nearly 2 years. So Lina, we'll just pass it over to you. And then if you want to also just tell us a little bit about your experiences as well, that'd be great.
Hi everyone, I'm Lina. I'm the head of client relationships here at DocHQ. I'm based just south of Guildford, in Hampshire, and yeah, I'm really excited to be here today to talk about women's health. I have got a lot to talk about, unfortunately, and to just trim it into 4 or 5 minutes, it'll be a challenge, but there will obviously be more episodes where we can go into a bit more detail. But it all started, unfortunately, from like the moment I started my period at around 16. I've been suffering with all sorts, whether it be acne or cramps, severe cramps, digestive issues, bloating, fatigue, all sorts. So I'm now 29, so it's been a long journey, and I'm still on it. I'm still suffering with something at some time or another. But essentially, that when I was younger, I was diagnosed with pelvic inflammation disease after multiple trips going to the GP with discomfort, pain, etc. After multiple complaints, probably about 3 or 4 years after I started complaining to the GP, I had a scan and I was diagnosed with polycystic ovary syndrome at around the age of 21, and tried every single contraceptive device, pill, so to try and treat the symptoms such as acne, the pain, period pain, etc., heavy periods, and sometimes I tried the same contraceptive more than once to try and hope for a different outcome the next time, because you see different doctors, they give you different advice. So that I was on that journey really for probably about 10 years, where I was just trying different contraceptive, never really found anything I was happy with. It affected my mental health, like different tablets, mood swings, etc., fatigue, affected every aspect of my life, relationships, work. And then in October 2021, that's when the pain started getting really severe, like demobilizing pain, where I was taking time off work and going to the GP, complaining about it. Nothing really ever. Nobody mentioned endometriosis to me, basically, for about a year after me constantly going back, speaking on the phone to GPs, actually having physical examinations with gynecologists, being sent down to hospital, seeing the sexual health service. I was passed on to those, And then eventually I moved to GP, and because I relocated, and he was the first GP to in October 2022. He was the first person to ever mention endometriosis to me. And the first time I saw him, gave me an examination. He said to me, "I will refer you on to Royal Surrey, and I think you probably have got endometriosis." It took 8 months for me to get a diagnostic laparoscopy. That's the only way to formally diagnose endometriosis. During that period of me waiting, I actually had a hematoma, so a burst cyst on my ovary, and I ended up in hospital for 5 days. I think if that hadn't have happened, to be honest, I don't think they would have rushed through my surgery for the laparoscopy, for the diagnosis, because that all happened within probably about 3 or 4 months of each other. But so essentially, I've been diagnosed with endometriosis now. It was May last year. I was 29 years old, and it's taken so many visits to the GP to complain about all sorts of things, to try all sorts of things. I've been put on morphine patches for the pain, codeine, tranexamic acid, mefenamic acid, every pill, contraceptive wise. I've gone cold turkey and just tried nothing and see if it will settle, and I've tried a lot. And during all of this, I've had a couple of jobs, and well, actually no, I've had multiple. I've worked in multiple workplaces, and I've had some really great supportive managers. I've had I've had the best care taken of me, and which I'm so grateful for. But I've also had unsupportive managers, unempathetic managers. So many people don't know what endometriosis is. I'm looking forward to talking about that in more detail and educating more people, around that, because it's actually very interesting. 1 in 10 women, so 10% of women have got this, whether they know it or not, whether they have symptoms or not. It is a common issue. And so on top of the endometriosis, and my journey through it last year of diagnoses, I found out in November that I am actually pregnant, which was a huge surprise, especially as in May time, when I found out I had endometriosis, I was questioning my fertility, whether I ever wanted to have children. It has always been, an unknown for me. But yeah, I think as well, it could be an unknown because I didn't know if I could get pregnant and if I wanted to get myself in that situation of trying, because I'd had all these gynecological problems, the polycystic ovaries, endometriosis. So I think I'm super happy. I'm now 21 weeks. I have got endometriosis pain, pelvic girdle pain, which I'm going to see our physio for. So it's still a journey, and unfortunately there is no cure to endometriosis. So I'm sort of anticipating that when baby is here, I will need more surgeries to remove the lesions of endometriosis, etc. So, but at the moment, I'm just taking each day as it comes.
Thank you so much, Lina, for sharing. I really appreciate all you kind of shared with us there, and it's a very vulnerable thing as well to kind of go through all of that and also be working on top of it. And it's something that a lot of women have experienced throughout their lives, and especially, what you were saying about how long the process took. I think a lot of women can relate to that, and it's quite a barrier for women even seeking out help when they feel like doctors aren't going to listen to them or really provide the correct treatment straight away, because it's so long to get even in to see the doctors now. And I think as women, we're kind of raised to deal with pain in a way that men aren't, or that a lot of people don't realize how much pain women are kind of frequently in, whether it's like period cramps or like back pain, like thigh pain, migraines, all these things that kind of come with periods. And me and Debbie were actually talking briefly before the call about kind of our experiences with that, because a lot of people don't realize as well with endometriosis, it kind of people don't realize that really discomforting period pains are kind of a warning sign, because we're all just told, well, that's normal. And yeah, I don't know, Debbie, if you want to share anything about kind of your experiences as well. Just, we're kind of um, starting off our careers in our 20s as well. So it's harder for us maybe to also vocalize these things to employees. So I think it'll be a valuable thing to also hear from you guys what advice you have for younger women in offices about speaking out and about their health. So Debbie, if you want to share something.
Yes. So one thing I have learned is that, okay, so normally when I have period cramps, I'm always feeling like I'm weak. Like, why do I feel like I need to like tell people that, oh, I can't do something because I have cramps? I'm like, everyone has cramps. Why do I feel like I'm weak? But one thing I'm trying to understand is that it's normal. I don't have any control of it. And well, it's not normal, but it's kind of like a lot of women experience it. So it's not anything to do with me. I should be able to be confident and tell my boss or manager that, oh, I'm having some cramps. Can I take the day off? And also not feel the need to overcompensate just because maybe that has happened. So maybe feel like, oh, I need to take on more work to prove myself because I have cramps, or because I have cramps like once a month. I think I've had an experience here. It was even when I was an intern. It was a day I woke up. I normally have nausea when I'm on my period, and I couldn't just do it. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to get a full-time offer after this, because they're going to think that I am not reliable or something. So I think I spoke to Mel and I was like, oh, Mel, I can't make it today. And she was so sweet. She was like, oh, yes, you can have the day off. And I was like, no, I'm going to come back in a few hours. And I was like, I need to come. And I came back and I was like, oh, Mel, I'm back. And she's like, you can have the day off. And I felt like that made me comfortable. Like now I feel like if I have nausea any morning, I'm going to be like, no, I'm so sorry, but I can make it. Not in a way where I'm doing it all the time, or like just if it's serious, I feel confident to like share with the team that, oh, I'm going through this. And yeah. And I feel like every woman should be able to do that, because I feel like nobody loves period cramps. Like we would say no to it if any, and they shouldn't be made to feel that they have to overcompensate, or like it's going to hinder them from like maybe getting a position or anything.
Absolutely. I mean, I think I definitely have experienced that thing too, where like you feel like you have to overcompensate then if you have, I don't know, any kind of physical or mental health problem, and then you're kind of like saying, "Oh, but I'll come and work later, or I'll come in early the next day." So I think we're very fortunate. I think in this company specifically, like all of our CEO and our managers are mostly men, but I feel like we have a very receptive workplace to women's health issues. I think because we obviously work in the health tech arena. So I think we're very fortunate that there is a little bit of an open dialogue between us. And Mel, I don't know if you can also speak to your experiences or your role as a manager within the company and how that has changed your perspective on things as well.
Yeah, sure. And yeah, I really resonate with a lot of what you said, Debbie, around yeah, it is normal having period cramps. Um, it's normal for women. It's not normal for men, but you know, we represent 50% of the workforce. So for half of the workforce, for who we are, that is totally normal. And I often feel like, if someone comes in with like excruciating pain for a toothache, how is that acceptable? But women's period cramps are not an acceptable reason to take time off sick. And I feel like that's where the conversation needs to start. And that's how, the direction that the workforces need to take, and looking at that perspective, and really normalizing it. And I think, that will can only happen when women speak up about things like this. And the more we do it, and the more we have these conversations, and make employees aware that this is very normal for the majority of women, then there will be a lot more kind of empathy and compassion towards what we have to go through every month. um, and and yeah, it can be really debilitating. And I don't think, unless you've gone through it, you've been through it, and obviously it happens, like period cramps have happened on various like levels. I know, like I've spoken to women who, they black out and they vomit because it's so bad. I'm very lucky that I haven't been through that myself, but I know that, yeah, if unless I take painkillers every 4 hours, it's completely debilitating. So yeah, I think the more that we speak up about it, like the better chance we can have of, having better experiences in the workplace. And yeah, I guess with my own experiences as well, I'm kind of more in the older end of the age scale. I'll be 40 in June, and I mean I've been very lucky that, in terms of my um, yeah, my kind of female health, I've been very lucky. I've always had like very regular periods. I haven't, had hasn't been too debilitating. I've been able to manage everything fairly well. Kind of same as Lena, really. I was never really sure whether I wanted to have kids or not. And then a couple of years ago, I actually had my eggs frozen. So I have 10 little eggs on ice waiting to be used if I need to. More of like an insurance policy, because you get to that age, and I was like, um, I don't want to get to the point where I do want kids and then all of a sudden it's not possible. And now I am at that stage where I am in a relationship and we're trying to conceive and I do want children, and I'm very aware of my age, um and yeah, is that going to be possible? And I'm also very aware that, if we have to go down the IVF route, that's a really difficult process, physically, mentally, emotionally. That will have an impact on my ability to be present, like at work. Um, and even now, just kind of just the stress as well. I think I speak for a lot of women my age going kind of through the same thing as me. It has a huge impact on your mental health when that this stress of like almost the pressure, and I think a lot of it comes from me, but there is also societal pressure to, as a woman, start a family, have children, and as as an older woman, um, in that stage of my life, then there is um, yes, a lot of anxiety around, you know, will I conceive? And it's difficult. I mean, it's difficult enough getting your period anyway, but when you get a period and you want to have a baby, it's even harder because okay, that's like one less egg that I now have in the bank. Um, yeah, so it's difficult. It's really difficult, and I think there's a huge amount of talk now, and huge conversations happening around mental health in the workplace, which is really positive. But I think another thread that can be woven into that conversation is women's health issues and mental health, whether that's from endometriosis, from periods, fertility issues, menopause, perimenopause. Um, yeah, I think those those issues need to be woven into that conversation around mental health as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's the mental health thing is so interesting as well because I feel like with periods, it's like a constant hormonal change the week before, the week after. You're going through different stages where your mental health could be so low and you have absolutely no reason why. And then, I feel like most men don't realize that there's that mental side of periods or that mental side of endometriosis or PCOS. And it's all kind of combined together where your hormones are also affected. And same with like menopause or pregnancy. Like a lot of women who will get pregnant, it's like a complete hormonal change. And same with post pregnancy. I'm sure in a later stage we'll do an episode on postpartum depression and postnatal depression and how that impacts women going back to work. But I just want to ask, everyone what we think, through our experiences, how we can make these workplaces, more open and how we can kind of broach these conversations. And Lena, in your experience from when you first started experiencing these kind of issues with your health, how has that changed now with how you approach it with work or how you speak to your managers, or maybe how it's impacted your confidence with talking about your health has changed over the years, if you wouldn't mind sharing?
No, absolutely. I mean, when I was at the start of the journey, I mean, mental health wasn't recognised. We didn't really talk about how we felt. It was it just wasn't something that I would speak about, and I certainly wouldn't call at work and say I'm not coming in today because I've got period pain. I think it's hard when you don't have a diagnosis. It's still hard when you do have a diagnosis, but when you don't have that diagnosis, it's almost like you doubt yourself. You feel, like Debbie said, like you feel weak. You feel like, why can I not deal with this? So I think what really grew my confidence to speak about it was experience and speaking to the GP, doing research online, understanding that I'm not alone, and there's so many women that have got some sort of gynecological or even just mental health that is around hormones, or so I think really what I wish that I had the confidence now, and I know what I know now, like 10, 15 years ago, and maybe like life would have been a lot easier, work would have been a lot easier. But here we are. I think over recent years, I've learned to just be open from day one. So before I even took the job at DocHQ, I said, I've got this condition. Now, yeah, I guess there's some risk that I may not be hired. I mean, obviously there's the Equality Act and everything. So, but with prejudice and with just people may feel judged instantly by saying, I've got this condition that's going to affect my work. So, but I took that risk and it paid off, because now I'm just really open. Obviously, I didn't know that I was pregnant when I joined DocHQ, but I knew that I would have some sort of surgery. I was going through the sort of I was on the waiting list for surgery for endometriosis, and I said, I've got surgery coming up. Now, I think one way or another, we all have some sort of, you have to be extremely lucky, male or female, not to have something wrong with you that's going to end up in time off work. Like Mel said, you could have a toothache, or you could have mental health, or you break your leg. You could have some sort of reason why you can't go to work, and that could mean 3 hours off work or 3 months off work. Like, we just don't know. So I think now we are talking more about mental health, women's health. It's just so important to feel comfortable and confident to just take ownership, I guess, of like your own condition. This is what's wrong with me. This is the time that I need off, or I may need time off for surgery. I have this condition. This is how it affects me. It's not an easy conversation by any means, but it just unfortunately has to be done so that we can start building that trust and that relationship and that compassion, and also building that awareness for my manager. I don't expect for my manager to know everything about endometriosis or pregnancy or polycystic ovaries or whatever, but I'd like to be able to feel comfortable enough that I'm going to be listened to when I say I'm having a flare up, or I can't join that meeting in 20 minutes. It's not ideal, but it's just life, and my health, it comes first and foremost over everything. There was a stage in my career where it didn't, and I got really burnt out. I resented my job. I resented my boss. I resented, just waking up in the morning, going to work. So yeah, it's a journey, and all I can say to somebody, or what I would tell my younger self, is just trust your mind, trust the people around you, and if you're not getting the support that you need, then go to HR. That's always another option. Like, there are policies, there's laws in place, to protect people. So yeah, it's it's difficult. It's never going to be an easy conversation, no matter how many times you've had it or how many years you've had the condition. It's always nerve-wracking. But just be honest. And when you're having a bad day, like, don't bottle it up, because it's not healthy. It's going to play on your mind. You're going to feel guilty about, you're going to overcompensate, like we were talking about earlier, and you're just going to end up burning yourself out.
I agree with that, and I also think we need to consider, like, if we need to be honest with ourselves and say, how confident would I feel saying this to a female manager, and how confident would I feel saying it to a male manager? And I think a lot of it is around a fear of, will I be understood? Is a man going to understand exactly what I'm going through the same as a woman might? Maybe not. And I think that's where that education piece comes around. And I feel like also HR departments, HR managers have a responsibility to provide a really safe space where women feel they can come forward with these issues and feel really comfortable. And I think that's where it begins, because then it can be, fed down and trickle down through the management. And I think, education is a massive piece. And like you were saying, Sarah, like the hormone fluctuation, like even for someone who doesn't have any kind of more extreme or irregular hormone, like women's health irregularities, and just has normal periods, it's so normal to have that hormone fluctuation. And brutally, women are at optimal performance at work and in their lives for 1 week of the month. And the other weeks, 2 weeks of the month is suboptimal, and 1 week of the month is not great at all. So, and then if you have any, other condition on top of that, then it's just compounded. And I think that needs to be understood. And it's not because we're not engaged or motivated or dedicated. It's because our bodies are just doing what they do, and it is normal for us. So I think if that is a message that can be filtered down, then alongside the education piece, then we're going to be in a much better place to be able to speak up about this.
Yes, absolutely. I think so much of what you said there speaks so much to how we kind of react when we have women in the workplace, and how much of a difference it makes when there's women who are in high roles in all the workplaces, because it makes it so much easier to have these kind of open conversations, because we all put so much effort and work into our everyday, and most of the time we're all going through some semblance of discomfort or pain, or stress caused by it. So I think it's a testament to how hard women have always worked in workplaces, and how kind of we've had to be very silent about things going on with us, because we fear that it makes the men in the workplace uncomfortable, or that it will put us at a disadvantage when trying to get positions higher up. I mean, from our conversation with the menopause movement group, like, we learned so much about women struggling to get into higher positions because of this idea that if you're menopausal, you won't be able to do the job as well. So it's a lot of really interesting stuff, and I'm looking forward to kind of delving in deeper with all of you as the coming weeks go, and the more we kind of talk about things. And I just wanted to see if anyone has anything else that they wanted to add before we finish up for the day, or kind of final thoughts they have on their experiences, or what the workplace has been like for their health.
I think for me, I mean, just as part of my job, really, to be able to sit here with you three ladies and just have a really honest, open discussion, I think is testament to the environment that we work in, and these kind of conversations are actively encouraged and supported. So I feel very lucky.
Yeah, I second that, Mel. I think we are so lucky to be in such a supported environment, and also to like have each other, and to just be able to, not necessarily our managers, but just to talk to our peers and colleagues and have open conversation. It feels like a massive movement in itself, because a couple of years ago, women wouldn't be getting together talking about it. So I think it's great.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think we're all learning so much, especially about endometriosis. I think it's something that in the last year I've been hearing about so regularly, whereas before that I had never really came across it. And I think this is what's so important now, is that women's health issues are really being pushed to the forefront and the forefront of workplaces, which will make it so much easier to do both, and like to prioritize your health. Lena, as you were saying, your health comes first, but also have a fulfilling career and have all these other things that you want in your life, and not have your condition rule over everything. So um, thank you so much, everyone, for sharing and for being so open about your experiences. I feel really lucky to be surrounded by so many really, really intelligent, brilliant women every day who are so open about the kind of health experience they're having, because it makes it so much easier to come forward and say if you're not having a great day. So I'm really grateful for this team and for the company itself. So thank you so much for joining me on the call today.
Amazing.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Sarah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you again to my colleagues Lina, Mel and Debbie for an open chat about our experiences with our health in the workplace. If you'd like to get in touch with us or tell us about your health experiences, you can find us on LinkedIn and Instagram at DocHQ.